India's disappointing, let's just say, exit from the Asia Cup, although it's not really confirmed as an exit yet at this point, has left a lot of broken hearts, of course, in Indian cricket fans. But there's also a lot of introspection as to where exactly things went wrong. How is it that India entered a tournament as unequivocal favourites, where it was pretty much a given that we would be playing not only Pakistan twice but also potentially them in the final as well, and then only fall at the second hurdle? In fact, they failed at a time when the pressure was at its most, and that has become something of a common theme for the Indian cricket team in recent times. However, focusing solely on the Asia Cup, where exactly is it that things went wrong for the Indian cricket team? Well, we have we did a little analysis and we came up with 5 reasons why of India's poor showing in this Asia Cup. Let us know below whether you agree with us or not. The first, number 5, we have the poor form of KL Rahul, Rishabh Pant, Hardik Pandya, and of course Deepak Hooda. Now, it's one thing to come into a tournament with one batsman's question under scrutiny, which indeed really was the case, considering a lot of people had question marks over Virat Kohli's short-term and long-term future in the T20I format. Yet, the former skipper actually acquitted himself quite well, and instead of the past being the problem, in fact, it was the people earmarked for being India's future who ended up being disappointing. KL Rahul ended up flattering to receive his highest score in this tournament was 36, and he's had a very poor Asia Cup, even taking into account the fact that he came back from an injury, and then he of course recovered from COVID as well. Pretty ordinary tournament, not one performance that really stands out as being memorable. Same thing with Rishabh Pant. He didn't start the tournament. In fact, it was DK, Dinesh Karthik, who was preferred to him. But when he got the chances, he failed to deliver. In fact, it was more of the same with even Deepak Hooda, who, as we had mentioned, Hardik Pandya as well had one good performance, and really that was it. He didn't actually do anything beyond that one match against Pakistan. Deepak Hooda drafted in late, played out of position. Really no wonder why it is that he struggled. But the fact of the matter is that a collective failure of this sort can only result in the team actually failing to actually get over the target, and that is exactly what happened. At number 4, we have the simple factor of luck, or India losing 2 straight tosses on the trot. Now, of course, it's not really a factor that is entirely in India's control, because as I said, the toss is something that is entirely dependent on luck, or what call it is that you make out in the middle and where the coin falls. But the simple fact of the matter is, we know that in the UAE, the template, at least since 2021, when the World Cup took place, when the T20I World Cup took place, and even the second half of the IPL, the template always was win the toss, bat first, bat second, and win the match. Now, that really has continued in the Asia Cup as well. Really, the only matches which haven't ended like that was when Hong Kong were in fact the team who were, in the opposite end of the spectrum. And given Hong Kong's status as an associate nation, not fair to read too much into that really. But the simple fact is that losing those tosses did not help matters at all for Team India. But despite that, there is cause for concern even beyond that, because at times it felt like basic plans weren't being executed. At number 3, we have the fact that there was no 6th bowler for 2 straight games. Now, obviously you can't help injuries, but the injury to Ravindra Jadeja at arguably one of the worst times possible threw an absolute spanner into the works, and reminded the team once again of just how much balance it is that Jadeja brings to the team. Not only is he the main first choice left-handed batsman, he also is a valuable hand with the ball and an absolute gun fielder. Replacing him proved easier said than done, and the simple fact is the Indian team think tank took the really sort of bizarre choice of not actually bringing in a 6th bowling option, or in fact bringing in a 6th bowling option in Deepak Hooda and then not giving him a bowl. So the advantage of a 6th bowling option, aside from giving you attack variety, is to also fall back on that option if one or more of your strike bowlers aren't really performing. In India's case, because they only had 5 bowlers against both Pakistan and Sri Lanka, they were reliant on those bowlers who were underperforming on the day. So it's never a good situation to be put in, but it was indeed a situation that was of the Indians' own making. At number 2, we have the fact that there were only 3 pacers in the squad. I mean, yet another situation that was of the Indian team's making. I didn't, when we first saw the squad selection, we saw there was spinner heavy, because you had Yuzi, you had Jadeja, you had Ravi Bishnoi, and you had Ravi Ashwin. So the expectation was that you'd probably not be paying all your pacers. Yet when you reach the Dubai International Cricket Stadium, you realize that okay, you needed maybe one more pacer in the squad. And instead of actually, instead of actually reading those conditions before time, remember, Avesh, and okay, you understand that, okay, you may have read the conditions wrong, then it's a case of doing the best with what you've got. But remember that when Avesh was ruled out with sickness, it took them quite a while to actually replace Avesh with Deepak Hooda, and now Deepak Hooda will most likely be getting a look in for only one game. Given the fact that Hooda is coming back from a very long-term injury, and he's in fact, he's been on the shelf for over 5-6 months, and you're expecting him to just go into the T20I World Cup with little to no match practice, it just makes no sense whatsoever. And again, as I said, this is a situation that the Indian team management only have themselves to blame, because they chose to go in with 3 pacers, and they also chose not to replace one of those pacers when it was pretty evident that he wouldn't have been able to continue. And number one, and arguably the main reason, not playing their core ahead of the Asia Cup. Now, fans of this channel, or our subscribers, would no doubt remember that we've had a lot of conversations, a lot of discussions about when it was that India should play their core. Well, as it turns out, they couldn't actually play their core up until the Asia Cup, because there was so much resting and relaxation and breaks given. So despite the fact that you actually played a lot of cricket post the IPL, remember, you had a South Africa series, you had series in Ireland, England, West Indies, Zimbabwe. One of those series actually saw you play your full core, and then you played your full core only when it was time for the Asia Cup. So you have a lot of these players who don't really have predefined roles, because again, they want batsmen who can bat in all positions, and they want bowlers who can perform multiple roles. Well, it was always going to be a bit of a mishmash, and that's exactly what it proved. The decision to actually not play with your core for a little while ahead of a major tournament backfired spectacularly on the Indians. By contrast, look at teams like Sri Lanka, Afghanistan, and of course even Pakistan. They've had a settled core for a while, and despite the fact that they haven't played as much cricket as India have, because they have a settled core squad, they've been able to spend time together. They have clearly predefined roles, and they have been more successful than India in the Asia Cup for that reason. And that's the end of this video. Please don't forget to shower your love if you enjoyed it by liking it, sharing it with your friends, dropping us a comment. Do you agree with our statements, or do you think there were other factors at play as well? Do let us know, and of course subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and tap the bell icon so that you know when it is we're going live or uploading a new video for you guys. Don't also forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And last but not least, download the AajTak app for all of the best sports coverage from around the world. Thank you so much for joining us. As always, I've been Shane Das, and I hope to see you all again soon. Bye bye for now.